back to Ghost Pirate Entertainment. I'm your host, Kanan Becker, and today I give you 10 of my favorite horror movie locations. So like you, I am a big fan of horror movies. And I've always been a huge fan of the anti-hero and of these villains like Freddy, Jason, Leatherface, Candyman, you name it, all these different horror icons that I just love and have grown up loving so much. But sometimes we forget about the other components that make a horror movie great. And one of my favorite components isn't actually even alive, and that would be the location itself. So on this list, I'm focusing on the buildings. Granted, a location could be a lot of different things. It could even be a whole island or a city. So this list is comprised of some of my favorites. So this isn't all of the greatest locations and blah, blah, blah. So don't come at me. This is just 10 of, whatever, however you want to say it, some of my favorites. So with that, let's get to this list. So starting off this list is the Farmhouse from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And wow. Everything about this location is just terrifying and creepy. The color scheme, the lighting, just the way the house looks in general. And in my opinion, this little farmhouse is just as important as any other character in this movie. Without this location in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I don't think it's nearly as terrifying. So that's why I had to put this on my list. Next up is the Crematorium from Return of the Living Dead. Alright, so guys, this is one of my favorite movies in the horror genre. And mostly it's just because it's so fun, so over the top. Just so ridiculous. But when I talk about the crematorium, I don't mean just inside. I'm kind of talking about that whole vicinity. Just everything about that location, I think, is so much fun. Everything from the big iron gates, to the furnace, to the cemetery when it's raining and all the zombies come up. It just really has a life of its own. Just as much important to me in that movie as any other character. Alright, and now we go to the mall in Dawn of the Dead. And this could be in either version because I personally have a lot of fun with either version. So I'm not going to pick one or the other, not in this video anyway.
Why are they coming here?
Maybe they're coming for us.
But just the mall, I love it. I love how it is so important and integral to the storyline. The fact that they have all the provisions they need. The fact that you have some fun scenes because they feel like millionaires, so to speak, like running around shopping and getting whatever they want, to just when the zombies get inside and are just making a mad dash through the mall. Just the whole look of that. The fact that they got an actual mall to record this in, and that mall was being condemned and torn down, and so they had free reign to do whatever they want in there. Just a really amazing scene. One that is so unique in of itself for a horror movie. There hasn't really been a lot of horror movies to use a mall, especially in the way that this used it. And next up is the Dolphin Hotel in 1408. And this location is a lot of fun to me. I love how it looks. Everything from in the beginning, when he first walks in, he's talking to Samuel L. Jackson, to the creepiness of everything that happens in the room. But I feel like the hotel being so disarming in the beginning to then becoming just so psychotic as the movie goes really does a lot in this movie. And it's just a location that I really love, and I don't hear nearly enough people talk about this movie or that location.
What are you talking about, you idiot?
1408, the movie. Not enough people talk about the movie. Alright, next up is a location from a movie that I really love and that I don't hear enough people talk about, and that is the glass house from 13 Ghosts. And I mean, wow, the way this location looks, so high tech, but yet haunting and creepy, and the way the glass looks with all the etchings or writings on it, the way the ghosts look, and you can see through and through and through because there's just glass walls. There is so much that looks amazing in this movie, and the location really is this movie. And you could say a lot of negatives about this movie because it does have problems and flaws and cheese from it being early 2000s, but I don't think anybody can discount how amazing this location is. Alright, next up is a location from one of my favorite movies ever, and that is the Lighthouse from the John Carpenter film, The Fog.
Stevie Wayne here, and let me be the first to wish Antonio Bay a happy birthday. We're 100 years old today, and keep a watch out for that fog bank.
And I love this movie and this location. I love how it feels disarming and how quaint and beautiful it is, the landscape around her, and as she's walking down the staircase to go into the lighthouse. I love that the lighthouse is a radio station and how integral it is to the whole story, because everything kind of centers around that location and her being in the radio station and being the only person that can kind of talk to other people, but being isolated in that location. I just love it. I love how it looks. I love its role that it plays in the movie. I just think it's a fantastic location. Alright, next up is the location that probably has haunted me the most, and that would be the mausoleum from the film Phantasm.
The funeral is about to begin, sir.
It is just so terrifying to me. The marble walls, the massiveness of it, the coldness of it. This location translates onto camera so well to me, and it is just a character of itself in this movie. And Phantasm is probably my favorite movie ever, and a lot of it is because of how just absolutely terrifying and creepy and cold this location feels to me. It just oozes death, and I love it. It's brilliant.
Now you die.
Alright, now we go to the most simple location on this list, but yet maybe the most fun movie, and that would be the cabin from Evil Dead. And it could probably be more from Evil Dead 2, but Evil Dead 1 will count too. I'll just kind of mash them together because they really are in a lot of ways the same movie. But that location, it's so simple, there's nothing special to it, but it feels extremely isolating, and especially as the movie goes. And I will throw into this the new version of it because I'm actually a real big fan of the latest Evil Dead rendition as well. It's not campy and fun like the originals, it's much more vicious and bloody and its own thing. And a lot of people hate that, and that's fine, but we're not talking about that today. But the location is basically the same in the new movie as well. It's just this isolated little cabin way out in the woods, and this location has gone on to inspire so many other movies to basically rip off that idea. That in of itself puts it on this list. But just in general, I think it works in this movie so well, and it is the star in so many ways of this movie. Next up is the House on Haunted Hill from the movie House on Haunted Hill. And I love the way this looks so much. The architecture of it. And in this movie takes its location and shoves it right up to you and says, it is the star of our movie. I love that about this film. I love that about this location. This location, just the design of it feels haunting, creepy, modern, timeless. I mean, this is a movie I've seen, I can't even tell you how many times. And this location is so much of what is haunting to me about this movie, because it feels like every time they go to another room or space, it's a new room. And like you never know what's going to be right through that door or right around that corner. I mean, there's an acid pit. There's just so many things to it. And yet it's beautiful and disarming in ways, but it's also menacing and creepy and terrifying and feels like the building itself is a murderer. So I love it. I think it's a really great location that there's no way I could ever do a list like this without putting it on there. Alright, last up is one that I'm guessing everybody's gonna guess and that almost no one would argue. And that is the Overlook Hotel from The Shining. And damn, this location is terrifying. As much as anything in this movie is terrifying, it's this location. Everything from the hallway with the blood to the twins. But if it wasn't for the lighting, if it wasn't for the wallpaper on the walls, if it wasn't for the textures, all the different things that are in this movie and in this location, it would not be nearly as good of a movie. This film relies upon this location. The long hallways, the empty rooms, just the spaces, everything from where you're in these massive rooms to these little cramped quarters, everything from the scene in the food storage room and you have this kind of claustrophobic feeling to the scene in the lawn with the big maze that they're running through. Just this location is gorgeous, but also just haunting and terrifying and full of energy and full of personality, and definitely my number one. So that's my list, guys. I'd love to hear what yours is. I love hearing from you guys. So I'd love it if you'd leave some comments down below. But if you haven't subscribed already, please hit that subscribe button and make sure to ding that little bell, because that is the best way to keep track of this channel and when I post videos like this. And I try to post videos like this at least 2 times every week. And I'd also like to give a huge thank you to my patrons, because your support means everything to me. And if you would like to find out more about becoming a patron, the link is down in the description. And like always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please crush that like button. And remember, guys, horror can be fun. I will see you guys next time.